Trump signs a secret order to unleash the Pentagon on Latin America's cartels. But Mexico's president draws a line in the sand. No US boots on Mexican soil. As tempers flare and trade talks hang in the balance, will Washington push past the red line? Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum delivered an unambiguous message to Washington on August 8th, firmly rejecting any possibility of American military forces operating on Mexican soil to combat drug cartels. The declaration came after reports emerged that US President Donald Trump had signed a secret directive authorizing the Pentagon to prepare military options against Latin American drug trafficking organizations.
The United States is not going to come to Mexico with the army. We cooperate, we collaborate, but there will be no invasion. That is ruled out. Absolutely ruled out. Because in addition to the fact that we have made it clear in all calls that it is not allowed and is not part of any agreement, far from it. Whenever it has been proposed, we have always said no, that we can collaborate in other ways, but not in that way. So, no. We were even informed that this executive order was coming and that it had nothing to do with the participation of any military personnel or any institution in our territory.
The Mexican president emphasized that her government had been informed about the executive order, but insisted it had nothing to do with military participation on Mexican territory.
The United States agencies that have a presence in Mexico are highly regulated. I believe we are the country with the most regulation for foreign agents, whether from the United States or from another country. Well, we will see what the executive order says, but there is no risk of them invading our territory.
Mexico's foreign ministry reinforced this position later in the day, stating it would not accept the participation of US military forces on its territory. This came after the US Embassy in Mexico released a statement saying,
"Both countries would use every tool at our disposal to protect our peoples from drug trafficking groups."
The timing of this confrontation is particularly sensitive, as Mexico is currently negotiating a tariff deal with the Trump administration and working toward a new security agreement that Sheinbaum had indicated was close to completion. Security analysts warned that Trump's military authorization could devastate bilateral relations.
It would have very serious consequences, where Mexico would stop cooperating. This does seem to me like it would lead Mexico to ask, what's the incentive to collaborate with you, if you're going to take unilateral action anyway?
When pressed by reporters about whether the executive order applied to Mexican territory, Sheinbaum clarified that it pertained to operations within the United States itself.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with Mexican territory. It has to do with their country. It does not involve our territory.
So it would be within the United States?
Within the United States, exactly.
The New York Times first reported on August 8th that President Trump had secretly signed a directive ordering the Pentagon to begin using military force against certain Latin American drug cartels designated as terrorist organizations. The authorization represents the most aggressive step yet in the administration's escalating campaign against trafficking organizations, marking a fundamental shift from treating cartels as a law enforcement issue to a military one. Two US officials confirmed to ABC News that Trump had directed the Pentagon to prepare options for possible use of military force against cartels designated as terrorist organizations, though one official noted that any use of military assets is not imminent. The order provides an official basis for direct military operations at sea and on foreign soil against cartels. Secretary of State Marco Rubio explained the significance of the terrorist designations during our August 7th interview with EWTN.
It allows us to now target what they're operating and to use other elements of American power, intelligence agencies, the Department of Defense, or whatever, to target these groups if we have an opportunity to do it. We have to start treating them as armed terrorist organizations, not simply drug-dealing organizations.
When Trump was pressed by a reporter on August 8th about whether he would send US forces to Latin America to target cartels, he responded,
Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing, so We want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years. And we love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game, but we'll have more to say about that soon.
The directive builds on actions Trump took earlier this year. In February, the State Department designated Tren de Aragua, the Sinaloa Cartel, MS-13, and several other groups as foreign terrorist organizations, describing them as constituting a national security threat beyond that posed by traditional organized crime. 2 weeks ago, the administration added the Venezuelan Cartel de los Soles to the list, asserting it is headed by President Nicolás Maduro. White House spokesperson Anna Kelly defended the move, telling ABC News that
President Trump's top priority is protecting the homeland, which is why he took the bold step to designate several cartels and gangs as foreign terrorist organizations.
However, legal experts questioned the authorization's foundation.
On the law, FTO designation by itself does not constitute an authorization to use force, despite some confusion to the contrary, including within the U.S. government. You would need some other authority.
The move would represent an unprecedented escalation in Latin America, potentially opening the door for unilateral American military assaults across the region. This comes as the administration has already deployed thousands of active-duty combat troops, drones and spy planes to the southwest US border to combat drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl and immigration.